Hi guys, so now I want to share with you guys what is, before that let me introduce myself. I am TOKMAT and I am from Malaysia. Okay, in this video I will share to you guys how to find buy setup. Okay, so my SOP or my system must have 4 rules. Okay, it must complete every rules before you place a buy or sell a buy setup. Number one SOP is we identify supports in H4 or D1. After we identify support in H4 and D1, number 2, we wait for the price to come back at our zone that we already mark on SOP number 1. After the price reach back our zone, we find TOKMAT secret pattern. After TOKMAT secret pattern has already been formed, already complete, you can place your buy order. Okay, this is the SOP for us to entry. Okay, what is TOKMAT secret pattern? I need everyone to listen carefully and focus. Okay, let's say the SOP number 1 is to identify the supports, and let's say you find there is a support here in H4. You mark the supports. This you have to use time frame H4 or D1. To mark support and resistance, you must use H4 or D1. Okay, let's say you already identify here is the support. We go to SOP number 1 complete. We go to SOP number 2. Wait for the price to come back. So you already mark the zone here, buy zone. You must wait for the price to come back to the buying zone. So after the price come to the zone, which is it reach here, you need to find my secret pattern. How does my secret pattern looks like? For buy, okay, this secret pattern you need to find it in time frame M5 or M1. It's in minute 5 or minute 1. So it's fast. So you can find the setup like multiple time in one day. Okay, how does my buy secret pattern looks like? Okay, once imagine once it's already reached your supports, you need to find this pattern where it went down one time and make one resistance. You need to understand this so you can remember. Okay, you don't have to remember this. You just need to understand this. It will automatically be remembered. Okay, price went down. Let me change the color. Okay, here price went down in minute 1 or minute 5, and then it went up one time and make a resistance here. It went even lower. Suddenly you see it goes one time upper, and it go down and make another one resistance here. So here is R1, here is R2 in minute 5 or minute 1. Okay, you need to wait. Here is our support. Here is our support, where we already marked here above here, our support. You need to wait for one price that suddenly jump up and break R1, they break R1, they break R2. So when you see, okay, listen carefully guys, when you see these kind of candles that broke our resistance 1, resistance 2, here is our support zone. When you see this candle that broke R1 and R2, just wait for pullback and buy here. If you didn't see this pattern, do not buy, meaning this support is not valid. Okay, but if you find this pattern, this support will be valid. Okay, so let me draw it again so you guys can remember. For buy setup, it would look like this. Price went down and make one resistance, it went even lower, and suddenly price went down and make one another resistance and it goes even lower. So you have your R1 here, and you have another R1, R2 here. You have your R2 here. You need to wait for one price to break both R1 and R2. So you wait for pullback, you buy at supports. So this is how buy pattern looks like. Buy. So if I erase the line, it will look like this. The key here is to have a support and to have one candle that broke two resistance, R2 and R1. Okay, this is the confirmation for buy. If this pattern will be in M1 or M5. So let's jump into the SOP number 3. You find the secret pattern already and place your buy order. Okay, place your buy order at pull back. Okay, here is your buy order at pullback. Okay, so the key here is SRR. I've seen someone have been copying this technique. This technique is solidly made by me, and I've seen so many fake gurus have been using this technique and teaching it the wrong way. So you guys are learning from the original TOKMAT Gold Hunter from Malaysia, and this technique is crazy. Please, once you already learn this technique, I don't want you to mess up your knowledge with other gurus or other technique. Only use this system, only use this 4 SOP, and don't change your technique. You know, a profitable trader, they don't use multiple technique. They have one solid technique, they have one system for entry, and they master the technique solidly. They use it multiple times, and From that way, you can make a lot of profit. Okay, let me show you on the real charts regarding the technique that I've shown. Okay, yesterday I gave a buy trade call at here, and it went up 600 pips. So how do I find a buy setup here? Like I told you guys, first we must identify the support and the resistance in H4. Okay, so if you look here closely, you will see there is a RBS, resistance broke becomes support. So how do we identify if this support is valid to buy or not? First, SOP is mark. Remember, so I told you guys, our first SOP is to identify supports in H4 or D1. So the first SOP is completed, which is we already identify here is the resistance, breakout becomes supports. Okay, SOP number 2, we wait for the price to come back at our zone that we already marked on SOP number 1. So after the price broke the resistance, we already marked here as a support, we wait for the price to come back at our zone. After the price came to our zone again, we go, first is time frame H4, then we go to time frame M1. Okay, so my SOP is after we mark the zone, the price come back and it must break 2 of resistance. So you can change it to line chart to make it easier for you to look. And you see here, let me change the color. Okay, you see here, we can just mark the resistance. One resistance is here, resistance 1. One resistance is here, resistance 2. Okay, now you already marked resistance 1 and resistance 2. You can place one line and another one line. So here is your support. Sorry, another one resistance is here. Okay, here is your support. So we must find, like I draw 1, 2, we must find one candle that break this and this. So in drawing it look like this, but in real charts it will be like this. You see, let me adjust the marking. Another one resistance is here. Okay, and we can place one line here. Okay, like I told you, we must find for buy setup, it will look like this. You know, I never change my technique. I use the same technique from 2012 until 2016 until now, and it works every time. Every single time it works. Okay, so you see, this is my buy pattern. If you understand the buy pattern, it will be easier. One resistance, 2 resistance, and now we already mark resistance. So we mark this as R and this as R. Okay, every time you look at chart, you need to question the charts like this. If it wants to go down, it should go down from here. If it wants to go down, it should go down from here. If it wants to go down, it should go down from here. But what happened was the price broke 2 of our resistance, which is here and here and here. It goes here and went down. Okay, but it already broke 1, 2. And you must see how many pips it it kicks. Okay, this is in Malay we call this as tendang. TENDANG, tendang. In English is kick. You must see how many pips it kicks up. Okay, and broke this, and this. Okay, you must see how many pips. If it broke more than 20 pips, meaning this support is very valid. Now it went up 108 pips. It shows it. Okay, I always tell my student that we cannot know where is support, but we can identify where is support. So how do I identify a support? A real support will have a big rejection like this. It reject 100 pips. Okay, it reject 100 pips, break our resistance. Okay, so once you see it reject 100 pips, and then we wait for pullback, and as what I given yesterday, a buy setup around this area. All right, this area we already marked this area. You know, this is the resistance that they broke. This is where we can take here another resistance. And you see gold fly very high, 600 pips. Okay, so yesterday I gave a trade call, one at here, another one at here, and another one at here. I give 3 times buy setup to my student. You see, make sure to find make sure your number one SOP is there already, which is we already identify the support. Resistance becomes support in H4, and only then once the price reaches our zone, which is here, we mark where the resistance they made. You see, price went down, make one resistance, went down, make one resistance, went down, make one resistance, and went even lower. And suddenly you see one price broke one resistance, 2 resistance. Already broke 2 resistance is a confirmation, and then you have to identify how many pips it went up. If it goes 20 pips above, meaning the support is valid. Okay, so here is the support. Mark the supports, and you can place your buy order here with confidence. Why I say with confidence? Because there is already a confirmation here. Okay, the first entry is a bit risky, but you can enter here also. But the second entry is solidly can enter with confidence. So this is how my buy setup looks like. Okay, let me show you another one buy setup. Okay, it's very simple. You can find this every day. Okay, like this. I bet there must be supports around here. We go first is time frame H4. Okay, in this case, you know, you see it's go even lower because here have engulfing candle. I also give a buy setup here in my team VIP. Okay, you already identified this is a valid resistance. Why I say it's valid resistance? Because price broke here and come back here and suddenly drop a massive drop of 800 pips, meaning here is a valid resistance. And then we must wait for the price to come here back for sell, right? But what happened was the price came back there, and the price came back here, but it didn't go down. Even though this is a valid resistance, it didn't go down. Instead of, it went up, like boom, suddenly went up 600 pips, 400 pips. So we take back the zone as buy zone. So we already marked the RBS. Alright, here is the RBS, and we wait for the price to come back here. As usual, once the price came into the zone, what you need to do is to open M1 or M5 to find our secret pattern, my secret pattern, which is it should look like this. Break R, and we wait and we buy. Okay, so you have to remember this pattern. I will teach you multiple times the same thing over and over again until you master this technique, because you know my students have been flipping account to thousands of % every day. Okay, so now we already mark where the price already reached back to our support zone. Okay, what we need to do now is to open M1. Okay, from here you can change to line charts to identify the resistance. So here we have one resistance. Let me change the color. Let's change to purple color. Here you find one resistance. Here is another one resistance. Here is another one resistance. So mark the resistance using a horizontal line, and horizontal line. So this is M1. Okay guys, this is M1. So the pattern have been completed, whereas there is a spike candle, broke one resistance, two resistance, and three resistance. And as I told you guys, you need to count the pip, how many pips have they broke, have they kick up. From here to here is almost 200 pips, meaning here is a valid support for you to buy. So if it's already break 200 pips, it might not go back to the first zone, so you can take the second zone as your buying spot or buying price, meaning 1968 you can buy here. And as you can see, it reaches 1968 and boom, I told ya, it went up 227 pips and even higher until here, 520 pips, and even higher until here, 900 pips. Okay, so it's very simple. First you have to identify the supports, and then when the price came to the supports, you need to mark resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3, and it broke all the resistance, and you take the zone that you have marked to place your buy orders. Okay, you buy here with a very low risk and a high confidence level, because the secret pattern has been formed here. Okay, you don't need to be scared to buy here, because the secret pattern have already shown you that I will go up. That's why it broke 1 resistance, 2 resistance, and 3 resistance. And like I told you before, if it wants to go down, it should go down from here. If it wants to go down, it should go down from here. And if it wants to go down, it should go down from here. But what happened is price broke all the place that we have marked as a resistance and take back as the resistance zone as our buying zone. Okay, that is all for the buy setup. I will share with you some more after this, and now in the next video I will teach you regarding the sell setup. Alright guys, stay tuned.